the benefit of families who can't join, in case there's anything really brilliant that we figure out together or any questions that you ask that are super duper helpful. My name is Jackie Bryant, and you have found yourself at, I'm the principal at IVA. You found yourself at our second parent orientation in the day. Talk about a marathon. Hope you've had a really good day. I didn't say in our first, but I do want to just say really quickly that in some organizations, the mission and vision is just, it's a thing that you have to do when you organize yourself. And in some organizations, the mission is so important to everything that happens at the school, at the organization. But for IVA, our mission informs everything. And we know that when the mission is about students' formative growth in their intellectual character virtues, and so we have the language of like really specific ways of their thinking, that we can equip them to be curious and to feel known and to feel like they have a place in the world. We just see the connection between how they learn, like at school, and how they can live. And so I hope that you get to experience that for your own kids in middle school and beyond. Congratulations for having middle school kids. The group that is here today that is presenting includes myself, and then I'll allow our other presenters to introduce themselves. But I'm Jackie Bryant. Guys, I'm the founding principal. This is our 8th year as a school. And it seems like a lot and not a lot all at the same time. Okay, Dama, I pass it to you.
Hi, welcome parents. My name's Dama Perez and I'm the program administrator here.
Hi parents, my name is Amos Mikaele and I'm the counselor here at IVA.
Hello everyone, I'm Jordan Altmeyer and I am the office supervisor at IVA.
And together we are hosting. Housekeeping tips. This meeting is not, we're not breaking into breakout rooms like students might do in their classes, but we are sort of like controlling the meeting so that we can get through a lot of content and get a lot of feedback from you. Most of the conversation is going to happen in the chat. So you are on mute. I think that you are able to unmute yourself, but if at any time there's a question that has been missed, we have a strategy for trying to not miss any questions, but please feel free to say, I have a question. I don't think anyone's seen it. And I'm glad you guys are here because your questions will help inform the rest of us. So here's our agenda. There's 5 things, which seems like a lot, but it won't really be. We're gonna do a check-in question, and I'm just gonna mention why really quick, because there's work that we can do together and questions that we can ask, but the work that we do is humanizing. So we never want to become an institution where you feel like you're just a piece of a machine. So we do check-in questions because they're humanizing things that remind us that we have feelings and value, and that to hear them from each other helps us to reconnect to our own. The same is the reason why we do a closing question. We have a parent-student handbook, and there's a lot of stuff in it, but I think it's a really good resource, so we're gonna look at some of that. And we're also, so this is like a clue for what's gonna happen later in the meeting. We're going to share just a couple tips from the school of what we think might be helpful ways that parents can support their kids at home, but really you're the ones with that content knowledge. So we're going to ask you in the chat to share like what has the best tips been for you, or what do you plan to try out this year. And we also are going to mention our annual family fund, which is the way that we protect the school from being a small school. It's a highly important to our mission, and it is a it's how our families contribute to our small class size. And then we're also going to hear from Cielo Roth, the secretary on the PTA today, about what the PTA is doing. So I'm going to pass it off to Mr. Mikaele, our amazing counselor, and have him start us with a chat.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. So a few of the families here today, you have been in our previous meetings and you've seen how we've done interactive chats with our opening question, and we're going to do the same thing here today. So the question that we're asking for you to answer is to share one hope you hold for your child in this strange year, or one hope you hold for yourself. So go ahead and place your response in our chat, and we'll take some time to read those out. So one hope you hold for your child in this strange year, or one hope you hold for yourself. So we'll give you guys a few seconds to answer that, and then we'll read some out. So Karen says, making new friends virtually. I hope we're all able to stay focused and engaged in distance learning. Cielo says that we return to campus in 2021. Nice. Linda, my child, I hope he builds relationships with peers and staff that encourage and bring out the best in him. Howie says, I hope our son can reconnect with his friends. Jill writes, to make new friends and to learn a lot virtually. Brenda says, one hope for my child is that they build the skills to work independently. Dana says, I hope she allows others to see who she really is. We hope Asher ends the school year loving middle school. Phoebe writes, a hope for my child is that they are independent workers as if they were in school. A hope for ourselves is that we stay sane during these times. Chelsea writes that this year builds great character moving forward. Excited for my child to be in this school. In-person graduation ceremony, that would be nice. And then Nabila writes, I hope my child can be more confident in school. Thanks everyone for putting in. If there's more, we'll just see them in the chat moving forward. And then Ms. Bryan, I hope these teachers can become adults for my son. You have a child at IVA who he knows seeks to know him. So thank you, Ms. Bryan. I forget that you're a parent also here.
Did you guys know, I mean, you must know, but there's all this research about how to have many adults in a child's life who cares deeply about them, equips them to be healthy throughout the rest of their life. We really take that to heart because I think that especially at this really formative age, your kids' middle school teachers can be people in their lives that care and love them as well. Okay, so guys, not only is this whole time a little wonky with quarantine and COVID and online learning and everything that we're all figuring out, but also there's a lot of information, and we try very hard to include all the information we can for our families and try to balance it. And I think we err on the side of information. We try to balance it with not overwhelming, not too much information. So there's lots and lots of info. I just want to say to you all, if you missed something, I don't know how you wouldn't miss it. You're like in the right boat. This year, not only will we have information on our website, but we also have this new portal that I have downloaded. I'm already getting a little bit like, how am I going to set boundaries with this portal? It's called Parent Square. It's super cool. It allows us to send messages to you, and you can select by your notifications. This is where I had an error. I had all notifications set, and I was like stressed out by all the contact I was getting. But you can get a text message, or you can get the information on your app, or you can get the information in your email, or you can get all three of them. And already our teachers have been sending notes to students. I think maybe, we could change these settings, but I texted hi to my son's teachers, and then I was like, this is too much. But there's a lot of really great contact. I wonder if Parent Square will become the central area. We're really probably going to need to also have a parent meeting or a video made where we help families like cut away the clutter and know how to use it. Illuminate is for attendance and grades. And that's where you can see a static attendance or grades. Parent Square, I think, will be able to get notifications if your kids are absent from a class. So I want to make you aware of that, and we'll try to have it be a smooth transition for all of us to that. On Mondays of each week, we wish it could be in the morning, but we have to give teachers time to prepare. On Mondays of each week, we're going to be sending out our newsletter, and the newsletter will include this thing that we call a week at a glance. It's, I actually think this is Miss Simpson's, like her actual first week. It's for both parents and students to see all the assignments in the week. It'll have the Zoom links in it, so students will have it. we're going to have one for each teacher, and we're going to split the documents. Last year, we gave the document with all grade levels to all of our families. This year, 6th grade families will get a document, and it'll have everything separate. Teachers will even be able to give sort of like an update for the week, like a letter, a short letter to you guys. So we'll have it for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade families. If you have questions about the things I'm just throwing at you, please don't hesitate to ask in the chat. And then I'm going to turn us to Ms. Perez Dama, who can tell us a little bit about our parent-student handbook and what information we can find there.
So this week, the student parent handbook was emailed to you, but if you are having trouble locating it in your email, we wanted to show you where you can find it. So if you go to the community tab on our website, scroll down to the 3rd of those options, and that is where you find the student parent handbook. And you can skip to the next slide.
Okay.
So you know the type of information that is on there and how it's structured. You'll see a little bit of information about IVA and its history, who the board of directors are. And I think what is probably most relevant is the academic program, which will begin, I believe, on page 18. But it begins with a letter, an introduction letter talking about the things that we considered as we were thinking about online learning. And so that'll walk you through how our curriculum is structured, what our grading policy is like, and a few other things like behavioral expectations, what we expect of students as they enter their online instruction learning. And then it'll have more information about programming and our policies at the very bottom as well. So if information that you're looking for is not found in the handbook, please do email us. I think this is a pretty dense document. So there's a lot of information on it, but do email us if you have other questions.
One thing that I can encourage is, I mean, you guys, I think it was a year and a half ago, I found out that if I push Command F on my computer and I'm on a website, I could find a word I'm looking for. And it has been it's changed my life. The parent-student handbook, if you want to know about grades and you do a Command F, you can skip through the clutter, find what you need. Little tips from the youth, over here, youth. Just joking. Okay, one question that we thought might be really important for families is the question, what is similar about this year and what is going to be different from what we can know at this point? And so I'm going to say something, but then I'm also going to turn to our staff to see if they have anything else. And again, as you have questions, please add them to the chat. We will have specific time for questions soon, but as anything comes up to you, it'll be valuable for us. One thing that, we made a short list of things that we think are going to be similar. We think actually they're going to hold true, is that the care that is given to your child is about their entire well-being. We know that having your kids sit at a computer for 80 minutes is not even the same as sitting in a class for 80 minutes surrounded by other students. So there is physical need, there is social need, there is mental need that our teachers, we received some training over the summer from an amazing program, CCEJ, California Collaborative for Equity, Conference for Equity and Justice. And we were able to identify some of the practices that we do, like brain breaks or community circles, and how those support students who are going through trauma. And I don't want to overstate it, but I think that the nation's all a little bit going through trauma. And so some of those practices like brain breaks or checking in or breathing, and having teachers train kids in that and have a whole class do it together, even if it's online, is a response to knowing how important it is to serve the entire child. What else still holds true is that we believe in the mission and we think it's possible, even in the way that we have access to school right now, that we think we can create an environment that's thoughtful and still challenging for students and still very supportive. And then that you have at this school, you have at IVA passionate educators and staff who are very I mean, I can use a lot of acronyms, but they're very flexible. They're willing to learn and adjust from feedback. They're always seeking feedback. And they're also very considerate to the needs of kids. So if you're having a really horrible morning and your kid cannot get into their class, you do not need to stress. An email to the teacher will be received with consideration and grace. That's just one example, but things that are different that you can expect. Communication practices, we have to learn how to not feel overwhelmed with only being able to communicate online. So I think we're just trying to figure that out right now, trying to make it streamlined and clear. And every time we make a mistake, we learn something about how to adjust it. Also, different is how we use instructional practices. So we love our thinking routines, but now we're trying to use thinking routines on the platform, on online platforms. So how can kids engage and have discussion together? That's all sort of being created. Something else that's very different is that your kids don't get to have a conversation with someone in their class and think, I think I could be friends with them, and then walk out in the hallway and see if they can. So they don't get that open play time. And I'm not sure as a school how we can give that to kids, because inviting them back into a playtime that's online, I think just this is what we're all trying to address for all of the kids that we have, is how can we support their healthy peer interactions? And what can school do, and what can you do separate from that? So that's something that's very different from normal. And I'm sorry, Amos, Dama, Jordan, anything else that's been on your mind related to these?
Yeah, I'm thinking about just going back to what you said about us meeting and having training with CCEJ, and how they're training in trauma-informed practices, how much it meshes well with the restorative practices that we have at IVA. So I think our teachers this past summer just had some valuable training, and it really gives them the perspective in seeing students even more as a whole person. So that's really crucial coming into this fall, especially with online learning and all that's been going on. So just wanted to say that.
And I think I would add to Jackie, just for families and students, specifically to reach out when they need help to the office as well. So even sending a note to the teacher, but also there's 4 or 5 staff members committed Monday through Friday to checking emails and being there for support. So it doesn't feel like a burden or a bother when we get flooded with emails. It feels like, great, we get to help, we get to support you, and now we know how to do so. So please reach out.
I think our office staff has said we're really sad that we don't get, even in the office, the interaction of a kid walking through or needing a Band-Aid when they really don't. They're just feeling really sad and they don't want to be in class. So that we need this. We need to support students too. And Dama? No? Okay. So we had a meeting about the bell schedule, and I'm just going to say one thing because I think that's one of the biggest changes this year is that we have an online bell schedule. One thing is that there are questions in each of the meetings, like why do we have 80 minutes? So when we're in person, we have classes that are almost 2 hours long, and brain breaks are a part of them. But it allows us the depth of understanding. It allows us to take brain breaks and actually have that element of social interaction while you're still students in a class together, learners like next to each other. And so we were trying to compromise with the amount of time that we need to be able to instruct students, the amount of time that we want them to be on Zoom, and classes that can allow for greater depth. And so we landed on 80 minutes, but it's intentional that it is that long. It's not an issue, it's a benefit for the way that instruction and student connection and depth of understanding work for us. Monday may be the hardest day for our families. I don't know, you guys will have to tell me after a week or two of school, because it's there is advisory in the morning. So students are going to wake up. They're going to meet with us 8:20 to 9:20. That's that connection, small group connection time. But then it's independent learning for the day. There's some things that it affords us interventions on Monday that don't happen during the school week. So when there are students who are struggling academically, we can create small groups, we can do one-on-one tutoring and things like that with our instructional aid staff. But it also allows kids who don't need that kind of thing, it allows them to go, we want them to go outside. But I know that also requires some supervision. So might be the biggest issue in this year is the bell schedule itself. So as you have questions about anything, please ask. And I mean, your questions will help us be more specific about what information we can provide to you. So at this point, we're just going to depend on your questions for the next 20 minutes.
Jackie, there's I'm sorry, Jordan, go ahead. I think you were going to say the same thing.
Good, Amos. I think we had the same thought. There were two questions from Craig and Kevin. They said to please explain the block schedule, which you did. Good. But the second part of that was including the expectation for the off days. So I believe Monday. And then Howie asked about students being able to meet up in an IVA room for break or lunch.
So right now we have Google Meets enabled with all IVA students. So IVA students' emails are protected emails. You can only email IVA. So if a sweet student like forwarded himself the links to orientation, but it goes to me. Whenever an IVA someone emails IVA, but it's a student, it goes into my inbox. So they never got their link from themselves. But what I am saying is that there are other protected spaces that only IVA students can connect with. And it might be interesting to figure out, like, how can we see what students want to have lunch together? I think that's a really great question. I don't have a process yet, but I really appreciate that question because maybe we can think of something creatively to encourage it. And then what was the other part?
I think expectations for Monday for the off part.
Oh, okay. So students should be receiving about 6 hours of independent learning assignments a week. That's 1 hour for each of their classes. For some students, that means they will feel like they have 20 hours of independent learning assignments handed to them. And for some students, it'll feel like 15 minutes of it. But what teachers are doing is saying, I think this will take my students about an hour. And we're trying to cut it at that. So if there are 6 hours of independent learning assignments outside of class, I imagine that students will be able to either do some of that after school, Tuesday through Friday, or during the day on Monday. The expectation is that they sign in to advisory and participate there for an hour, and then we leave them to their day. So if you and they worked out a plan that they're going to do all these assignments, I hope they do them. The school won't be checking in unless there's a request for that kind of thing from our family. So it's really open expectations. Does that answer it, or is there more that I can try to answer?
I think they sent a clarification saying what are the expectations for Tuesday through Friday when students aren't in class.
Oh, is that like the 2 to 3 o'clock independent learning time, or is that the breaks in between? I mean, I could just like talk to everything. So independent learning, if there are final assignments, it might be really good for a student to do it then. After each of our blocks, we have scheduled, it's not a long time, but we've scheduled a 10-minute office hours. And that is office hours only for those kids in the class. So you have a class with your teacher and there's time for processing questions in class, but especially our 6th graders might be scared to ask a question. In office hours, that'd be a really good time for them to ask a question. or just be around their teacher while they start on their assignments. So we have class, office hours, and then a break of time. And it's a nice chunk of time in between. And we did that because we really want students to be able to actively move. This might be the support that you have as adults in your kid's life. Like I think my own would not move unless someone was like, all right, get up, get up, get up, go outside. You've got 30 minutes. I'll tell you when it's time to come back in. So at the end of the day, there is some time that is expected. If you have assignments, you do it then instead of procrastinating till Monday. Monday, I think, might be the hardest day and for students to navigate organizing themselves. Did that answer that question? What else?
Jackie, I'm listing the questions on the slide, so you can go through slide 12
you.
and see the ones that are on there.
All right, and I did see one from Karen that sort of relates to this. It was, do they turn in homework by the end of the day each day before school ends? So this is going to be different for every assignment for every teacher. Teachers, some of the time will know at the beginning of the week and put it in the week at a glance. Your assignments will be due on Monday at 9 p.m. or whatever time is identified. But we do not have an expectation that at the end of every day, assignments would all be done because we know that students have different needs with the amount of time or additional support that they have. I really like the question about makeup. Did I see that? Is there a makeup dress code? Don't tell your kids. I mean, or do tell your kids. We don't have a makeup dress code. Go for it. I mean, anything that becomes distracting, we will call and ask to talk to the student or chat with them online and just say, hey, it's a little distracting, and we'll navigate that sort of conversation. But if your child is really into blue eyeshadow, I say, like, we miss that in society. We need some more of that. So I encourage it. Also, like hair, they can dye their hair. Piercings, cool, no problem. Tattoos, fine. Whatever you guys allow, it's okay with us. What else? Will students be able to meet up and, okay, did that. How will we troubleshoot if students are taking screen captures and videos on Zoom? That's a really, really great question. This is, so all of our sort of like support discipline models have been put on hold because normally support and discipline for student behavior is about conflicts that they have with each other in person. And so everything that like our patterns that were really great have all been kind of put on hold. And I think that our support in this way this year is going to be through these kinds of things, through tech kinds of things. So I don't know if you guys know, but it is a felony offense to post a video of a student without their parents' permission for adults. It's not a felony offense for kids, I think, because they make mistakes, but because it's such a high degree of an issue, it will be followed up and we'll be able to adjust sort of our behavior support model into this realm of their lives. And Amos, in a second, I'm gonna ask you to speak to that for a moment, but just to tee you up a little bit, I have loved Amos Michele at our school because he approaches student behavior and mistakes with such a calm manner. My tendency is always like, well, they shouldn't have done that. We need to call their parents and like tell on them right now. And he's like, have we talked to the kid yet? Have we asked why they've done that? Like he did, like, of course, like those are the things you're supposed to do. So Amos, to that question, like what if kids are doing things that are taking video captures or other things that like will harm other students? How do you imagine that we'll begin to have that conversation?
Yeah, I'm sort of making a parallel connection to what this looks like when we were in school and how students would say off campus, you know, so-and-so posted a video of me on Instagram or so-and-so said something on Snapchat. And the way we've addressed it was we went straight to the source. We asked the student that posted it about what happened, why they posted it, and then we communicate with the family directly, and we figure out the best way to move forward in regards to behavior supports. That includes discipline or some sort of restorative practice model. In this case, I'm seeing it being the same way. If there's a parent or a student that has a concern, please let the office know. We'll reach out to you, we'll ask questions, we'll investigate, we'll look into it, and then we'll try to troubleshoot it by reaching out to the people who are responsible. But I do know that our teachers are also in a space where they will be letting students know what the expectations are for online learning at the beginning of their courses, and there's wording in the syllabus that they use. So I think just reiterating that on the family side about what the expectations are for appropriate tech use, that would also be helpful too. But those are just some of the things that I'm thinking about and how we would address that if it did come up.
Yeah. And we really want our students to feel comfortable being on camera. So anything that harms that is something that we're going to pursue. It makes me think that I sometimes use our weekly announcement videos for students just to tell them, like, you guys might not have known, but screen capturing or videoing other kids is something that is not good. In fact, if you're an adult, it's a felony. And so if that happens, so like, when we find out, we can respond in a lot of ways, both to the whole community and also talking individually with students. But if you guys, if parents know anything that is happening that's making your child uncomfortable, please let us know so that we can pursue it. It always feels like, well, if we only knew, we could help. Let's see, anything else to that, Dama or Jordan? Oh, Jill, you had a question.
Sorry, I have a question.
Thank you.
I have a daughter in a different school, and this happened this morning where the principal was holding a welcome back video, and some of the kids or older brothers got online during that and were yelling not so kind things, and in fact had to turn the video off. Has anybody thought about putting like permission numbers on the classes so that doesn't happen?
Thank you. And
it was bad.
Yeah, it's horrible. And actually, we did experience that today in our 8th grade meeting, because we made our Zoom links public, and we also took off the protections that we always have in place for our 6th graders who were struggling to get in the very first time. We took off that protection, and so anyone could come into our meeting. We got penises drawn on the screen. We got horrible music played. It was, oh my gosh, poor teachers. It took us a long time to sort of calm down because it felt really harmful to our community. We have protections. We have a Zoom account that only allows IVA emails in. And in fact, this is one of the things we're making a little video for for especially our new students, like how to make sure you know how to log in with your IVA email, because that is the protection that we have in place. We only allow IVA students into those meetings. It's horrible. It's traumatic. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that question. What else do we have? Can students get support between 150 and 320? I think that, let's see, how do I answer this? So teachers will have just finished. Students may be able to get support if we know about it in advance, but we are trying to organize ourselves for student support, especially on Monday. So there may be other opportunities for support, and you'd need to reach out, but we need to balance the time that teachers are giving support and when and where. It's a fine question, and I think we have to work it out. Are parents allowed to drop in to observe students? Guys, this online world has some fringe benefits. One of them is you can always see what your kids are doing and what their teachers are saying. And in middle school and high school, you can't just walk into a class anymore. In fact, our policy internally, our policy at IVA is that if a parent ever wants to come observe a class, that an administrator would go with them and that we would schedule it in advance. And this is because in the past we've had parents yell at other kids. So it's just not safe to have the open time. But you can set up their computer in such a way that you could be creeping and watching the whole thing without us knowing that you're there. And we invite you to do that. Take advantage of the things that are going on this year. and find out about the learning. You can, in the very first year that we were open, this is that, and it's a fun story. I'm just going to say it. In the first year that we were opened, I was with a group of teachers and we were driving to a concert. One of our parents was in the band No Doubt, and they invited us to like a friends and family only concert. And we played the game, which parent would you want to hang out with? I'm sorry, we've never played that game again. It feels a little awkward, but you know, if you're staring at teachers all day long, you could play that game. You could be like, which teacher would I want to go to a concert with? All right, let's see. Students are taking screen caps. Yes, please let us know. Okay, I think that's our questions and answers, unless you have others. Yes, Sophia, I see you. 10 minutes of office hours, that's not all the support that students will get. Our classes are set up for support of students. This is just like a little bit of extra time, and our teachers will be supporting. Our teachers respond. Oh yeah, Nicole, thank you. Yeah, our teachers respond to emails, and especially we're setting up supports for Mondays for students who are in academic need. That's okay. Sorry, Nicole. I hope that answers your question. Oh, virtual. Why was I muted? So we are going to make it so that students will have 5, I think, background options to choose from that are not distracting. We're locking down the account. And we wondered, like, are we stopping their creativity? And we were like, maybe so. Some things just have to be done to create boundaries. We're also thinking about not having profile pictures, not allowing them to have profile pictures that they change, because sometimes those are very distracting. So we're creating some boundaries where normally we have like a do everything you want to until there's a problem, but we already experienced in the spring some crazy wild backgrounds, and they like almost gave me a seizure. There was so much movement in them. So we are going to do that. And let's see, any other questions before we turn to this part where you guys share all your best tips?
I have a question, Jackie, maybe for the parents. What should they expect this upcoming Monday? Like the first thing they should be looking for
this Monday,
this upcoming Monday or Tuesday. What sort of communication should they look out for?
Thank you.
I think you mentioned some earlier, but yeah.
Yeah. So we will be sending our newsletters out Monday afternoon, and that's so that afternoon in the 2 or 3 o'clock time range, maybe 4 o'clock Monday, because we want our teachers to all fill out the week at a glance, and then we want all of our teachers to look at it and see, like, are there any communication practices that other teachers are doing that we can learn from before we send it out to families. So you're going to get a late afternoon newsletter on Monday that has for students the Zoom links to all their classes, and it has what to expect for the whole week of learning. And we send this to students in the newsletter. We'll be posting it on Parent Square. We'll be posting it on our website. We'll be posting it on the school announcements Google Classroom so that students can access it. We also know that a lot of families are going to miss it in the first day, and so we'll be fielding a lot of phone calls to try to direct and learn from how we are posting those resources. On Tuesday morning, 8:20 a.m., actually maybe a little earlier, your child will be at their little station, and they have to be logged into their IVA email, and then they can click on the link for their Block 1 class. And when they come into their Block 1 class, they'll be greeted and get to experience a lot of community, especially in this first week. Does that, Amos, are there other elements of that we can clarify?
I think that was good.
We also know that there's probably going to be some last minute scurrying and confusion and frustration, maybe some anger. Hopefully no one throws a computer on Monday or Tuesday, but we are going to be fully staffed, answering the phones, the info at IVA Long Beach email, and we just want everyone to feel prepared. So at the first sign of frustration, please contact us. Okay, anything else, Dama, Jordan, that you think would be helpful for families? Okay. So we were thinking that we might get some really good stuff from you in the few minutes in the chat. So the question of like, how do you support your child at home doing online learning? Again, I think you're the ones who have the best answers to this. And I think everybody's answers are going to be different because your situation is different and your child is different. So there's not like a proper way. Some of the things that we thought of is that you as the adults providing routines and structures for your kids is going to be probably the most supportive. What that means for me is that my goal is to wake up my kids and make sure they're awake at 7 a.m., which is not as early as they would be if we were in person, but I want them to have breakfast. I want them to know where their computer space is going to be, have their supplies there. So just that like routines. The other that we have thought of, I think Dama especially was talking about this, is the importance of active breaks in between. So we think that could be a great support for your students. There will be short breaks during class, but stepping away. And then also use of office hours. If your students, like, they should just plan on staying in office hours and doing some work there while the rest of the class is there, and asking questions or hearing other people's questions. One other thing is, we want students to be really comfortable contacting their teachers. We call this an apprenticeship model. So instead of you seeing, my child is stressed out, and so I'll contact the teacher and tell them what my child needs, we want you instead to say, okay, I know that you're stressed out. I'm going to sit down next to you. We're going to write an email. You're going to write it, but I'll help you with the language, so that they see that there's places to reach out, and not just like fold inside themselves until you rescue them out of it or whatever it is. So we really want them to be comfortable with the adults in their lives. And then to that, could we use the chat for this good purpose? Can you share one practice that really helped your learner last semester, or one that you think you're going to try this fall? Any little detail will be really nice, and we'll copy it and save it. We'll have Dama and Amos and Jordan, or maybe just Dama and Amos so Jordan can copy, read those out to us. So in the chat, tell us anything that you plan to do to make this work for your child.
Dara Young says we're having our students put their phone away during the school day. Use Microsoft Family to control kids' screen time and set up app times. We really like the apprentice format. Having a planner of their classes, following up with them, and to make sure they've turned in their homework. It really helped one of my children to print out the weekly email and cross off each assignment as it was finished. You can go.
Sophia or Nicole writes, last semester teachers were incredible at offering support and separate one-on-one Zooms. This is helpful. We printed the week at a glance and used it to cross off assignments as they were completed. Really good tip. And then Howie writes, we are having our son make his own schedule so he can decide when he does his homework, practice his instrument, etc. And Sylvia writes, I'm going to make sure she takes active breaks. Having my child get up earlier so they are ready for school. And then Kimberly writes, Mia worked really hard to get all of her work done during the week, so she didn't have to even think about it on the weekend. So take care of it all early. Nice.
Can I add really quick? Kimberly, you're a teacher, aren't you? Good job. We really appreciate you teaching high school English. Our hats are off to you. Thank you.
Yeah, we started with students this week. So I have a week under my belt. It's been an experience. Yeah. Nothing beats the classroom interaction, but we're doing the best we can.
Yep, we're grateful for all educators out there. A couple more, Dama and Amos.
Yeah, Linda writes, let my children set the pace. No assignment was worth jeopardizing their mental health. So good. Not going to hover or helicopter so that they can be independent and check in as needed with him and the teacher. And then structure and organization is everything. We will take a lap around the block during breaks. Asher likes to sit under the table.
It's really nice.
Making sure the workstation is set up and stocked with all their supplies for class, and schedule printed and have all the information readily available.
Structure and special place to focus without distractions. The to-do list is on Google is great. Included Reese in creating her workspace. And then Linda also going to set the precedent this time around to keep all electronics off, TV, tablets off, and not in use until everyone's school day is over. So there's no fighting internally about why one kid gets to be on their phone while the other still has to be doing work. And then lastly, Grace writes, we will plan a schedule. Thank you, Julia, for all your help. You guys are amazing.
Woo! I love our community. You parents, thank you for being here. I'm not like sending you away yet, but I want to say that it's to have a charter school is strange. It's a lot different from the very large organization. And there's benefits and there's drawbacks. And some of the benefits is that we have a lot of flexibility and we can serve kids how we know that we need to serve kids. And we can adjust. And some of the drawbacks are financial. We've done amazing with our finances. We're in a really, really good spot, a lot due to our generous community. I'm going to pass it off to Howie, who's not only a parent of the wonderful Abed, whom I love, but also a board member. And Howie is going to tell us about our annual family fund.
Thanks, Jackie. Yeah, our son Abed is a 7th grader, so we've been on board for about a year now, and we came from a very high-performing public elementary school, but felt that IVA was just a much better fit for our son and just the way he thinks about the world at that time. And we talk about it quite frequently that we all made such a good decision for moving over. And around that time, I was kind of poking around for things to do. And so I was asked to join the board of directors of IVA, which I didn't realize the extent of the project when I took it on, but it's been a lot of fun and it's been great. So as Jackie said, there are lots of upsides to the charter model, which we all benefit from. Some of the downsides is that the charters have significant expenses that the district does not have. And, so we have to find ways to pick up the slack. As we all know, we're going into a very difficult budget from state support in public education, and that includes IVA. So we've been working very hard to keep the ship steady for this year, and we're starting to look ahead to next year. And really the only way that we can pick up that slack is to raise money from our community. So IVA spends about $250 per student for every student, whether you give or not. IVA spends $250 out of this fund to directly support student learning. It supports our staff. It supports our faculty. and it supports other things that crop up over the course of the year that the state simply cannot provide for. So it's an important chunk of what the school does. And so we are about to begin, I think on September 1st, everybody will receive a letter basically outlining what I just said. But I ask that, on behalf of the school, I should say, I ask that you consider making a gift to IVA. And, you know, if you can do $250, that's great. If you can do more, that's even, you know, that's great as well. If you can't do $250, do what you can. You know, we're going through some rough economic times and some of our families are really struggling.
Yeah.
But we need to, you know, we need to prioritize the things that matter to us as families. So give what you can.
Thank you, Howie. And Howie, are the prizes a secret?
Not yet. No, I think I can reveal them now. So Jackie was pushing hard, you know, and we're calling this the Quarantine Sanity Prize. So for every gift of $250 or more, you will receive a very fancy IVA playing card deck, so that as you are sitting around dinner and after homework and after the screen time is over for the day, you can, you know, play blackjack or teach your kids how to play poker.
Yeah. Thank you, Howie. Both Jordan and I talked about like how much we wanted to give $250 so we could get a playing card deck, and both of our partners were like, "You have to get. Why don't you just buy your own playing card deck?" And we were like, "No, you don't understand. There's boxes. There's boxes on it, and it's really about the school."
It is. Yeah.
It's hard to explain why that playing card deck like makes you want to write a check so bad. So Cielo, our secretary of the PTA, can you do the next 3 slides for us? And
of course,
like 3 minutes.
Okay, 3 minutes. You got it. Will the video play, Jackie?
Yeah, let me play it.
Awesome.
I hope it does. Oh, 1 moment. Might need to present. Go, Cielo.
Hi, everybody. My name is Erin Adams, and I am your PTA membership chair. I just wanted to take a quick second, welcome all of you, and invite you to join the PTA. We have a lot of stuff planned for this year, and we need all the help we can get. If you go to jointotem.com, search Intellectual Virtues Academy, you can find us that way, or there is a clickable link for you available in last month's newsletter. We look forward to working with you. We can't wait to meet everybody in person, and I hope you have a great first week. Thank you so much.
Yay, thanks, Erin. I'm with the PTA. I'm representing the PTA today. We have a few things going on. We're trying to come up with as much fun stuff as we can to get parents and kids together if we can. First of all, join the PTA. If you haven't already, please go back to the first slide, will you, Jackie?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. To join the PTA by August 31st, it's only $8, and price goes up September 1st on the 1st, so $10. There's the link right there, the jointotem.com, for any online membership. So it's easy to do. Let's see. So next slide. IVA PTA is all of us together. We want to get you involved. Our things are coming up are the Pajamathon, PTA's annual fundraiser, which is slightly different from the annual fundraiser. So, but we definitely want to support the annual fund. But the Pajamathon is going to be a fun thing we're going to try to do to interact, get everybody to interact. And it supports things like the new shade we have on campus. Hopefully we will be able to utilize that pretty soon. We're gonna hopefully get a tree planting around that area pretty soon as well. And our first Fox Spirit Night at area restaurants, you can go get takeout for pizza. The first one is coming up. You can go to the next slide. if you wouldn't mind. Thank you. Is Wednesday, September 9th. Order takeout or pickup, same thing. And IVA gets 25%. That's at Flippin' Pizza, and there'll be information on the newsletter as well. The first PTA meeting of the year is September 16th, and that's also back to school night. Membership drive is going on right now until October 15th, and then we will have IVA t-shirt sales, and then Reflections art program is coming up. So just a few things to look forward to, and PTA will try to make this year as interactive and as fun as possible.
Yes, Yellow, Secretary.
Thank you.
Well done. Guys, we always want to end our meeting sort of like summarizing our thinking or hearing it from each other so that we can know what we got out of this meeting. Sometimes I leave a meeting without doing this and I think like, okay, I just spent an hour. What's next? So before you leave, we would love it if you would chat at least, one more time. And here's a couple options. You can choose whatever you want, but we want sort of like summary of your thinking, publishing your thinking, sending it to the community. Some options include, I realize you can finish that any way you want. I want to keep thinking or wondering about, I'm grateful for, or I am going to summer it up. It's like we're heading into the weekend, so I'm going to summer it up with this. If you throw those things into the chat, I will have Amos and Dama and Jordan read some of them off for us.
I can start us off and I'll read like every 3 and then we can switch off.
Yeah.
So Linda writes, I'm grateful to be a part of this supportive community where my son will not only thrive and blossom, we will benefit as a family as well. Brenda writes, I'm going to summer it up with going to the beach. And then Gina writes, each membership is $8 until Tuesday. So family of 5, that's 40.
Kimberly says we're going to summer it up with s'mores. Dana says, I'm going to summer it up with the beach, sun, and s'mores. Dana also, or Kern writes, I'm grateful for a new beginning for my daughter at an amazing school.
Jackie also wrote s'mores up there, I saw. Sylvia writes, I'm going to summer it up with Go Foxes. And Cielo writes, I'm grateful for being a part of this wonderful school. And then Liz adds, I'm grateful for the support IVA staff, teachers, and administrators offer to the students and parents.
Sorry, people are typing, so I'm trying to love you guys from Mrs. Sunday. And then Jill writes, I am grateful for this great school and for the support we will receive from IVA and each other. Jackie Bryant, I'm grateful for the families who are so invested in your kids. It inspires me to be so much more in my own.
Madeline writes, I realize my daughter and our family is blessed to be a part of this team. Thank you for all the support. Brenda, I'm grateful for this thoughtful school. Thank you, IVA staff, for all the hard work you do. Jenny writes, I'm grateful that my son is a part of the IVA community.
Saul writes, I'm grateful for the teachers at IVA and the creative ways of making meaningful lessons to students. I hope I can borrow some for my own class. Mando and BB Beltran write, we are excited to be foxes. And then Craig and Kevin write, I realize how happy I am that Asher is going to IVA.
And then the next one says, thankful for the structure and morale that IVA encourages and fosters. And then lastly, I'm grateful to be part of IVA family. I'm excited for my daughter to start school. Keep it up, guys. I will sign up for PTA. Have a great weekend.
Grace, perfect last words. Guys, we're ending a whole minute early because it's the weekend. Have a wonderful day. Send us any communication that you need. We're so glad that you were here. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Your comments were so valuable.
Have a good weekend.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.